This is no accident, not a chance encounter in the vast digital currents. The very fabric of time and intention has woven itself to bring you to this precise moment, in these 3 crucial seconds, because what you are about to hear is not merely sound. It is a sacred alignment, a destined connection. This message, this profound revelation, is meant exclusively for you, the one who has felt the silent pressure, the unseen chains, and the persistent whispers of scarcity. For centuries, this wisdom was a forbidden secret, a hidden spiritual code, reserved only for those initiated into the art of standing in the right posture. A posture that unlocks provision, flings open doors to unimaginable opportunities, and invites a cascade of financial blessings into their lives, directly from the divine source. This isn't background noise you can casually let play. This is not a soothing balm for surface-level anxieties, a generic sentiment to temporarily ease your worries before they return with the dawn. No, this is a decisive key, a master key forged in the crucible of truth, capable of dismantling the very structures of financial limitation you've endured. You must listen with absolute presence, very slowly, very clearly, very fully. For within these words lies the profound shift, the ultimate solution, the singular reason why starting today, you no longer have to live haunted by the specter of lacking money. Why? The endless nights of worry and the days of quiet desperation can finally cease. A promise of a fundamental reordering of your reality, from scarcity to overflowing abundance. If you choose to leave now, to let your attention drift for even a single fleeting second, you risk missing the exact instant when the financial door long envisioned is being wrenched open specifically for you. You may miss the very call, the pivotal opportunity, the long-awaited solution, or the precise help that your heart has cried out for in countless prayers for what feels like an eternity. Life is punctuated by such moments, critical junctures where a lapse in focus, a slight turn of the head, is enough to lose a major turning point, a breakthrough that could redefine your entire trajectory. And I tell you with absolute certainty, that moment, that invaluable life-altering moment, is happening now. Ask yourself with unflinching honesty, are you currently consumed by the gnawing worry of rent coming due, the relentless march of loan payments, the ever-increasing utility bills, the unexpected burden of medical expenses, or the suffocating weight of credit card debt? Do you harbor a deep-seated fear that if this relentless situation persists for even a few more days, everything you've struggled to maintain will inevitably spiral out of control? Does this immense pressure so overwhelm you that sleep becomes a forgotten luxury, and you wake each morning with a heavy heart, the relentless numbers chasing you even before your eyes fully open? If your honest answer echoes a resounding yes, then understand this profound truth. Your presence here is not an accident. You are precisely where you are meant to be, at the absolute right place at the perfect time, because what we initiate in this very instant is not a weak, whimpering plea, born out of desperation or fear. This is a powerful prayer, a declaration built upon an unshakable foundation of faith, a luminous awareness of divine timing, and an absolute trust that the Creator is never late. He sees with perfect clarity every bill you've meticulously hidden away in a drawer, every looming due date you desperately try to push from your mind, every unspoken worry you dare not confess to another living soul. More than just seeing your struggles, He understands the global currents and economic shifts that often contribute to these pressures, the unseen forces that can make even the most diligent efforts seem futile. But crucially, He sees something else, something breathtaking. He sees the way forward. There is something fundamental you must grasp from this very outset, a truth often overlooked, even by those who pray. Many indeed pray about money, but they do so shrouded in fear. Their prayers stem from the mindset of someone teetering on the edge of losing everything, and in that state of impending perceived loss, even if the words are uttered, their hearts remain utterly consumed by confusion, doubt, and chaos. This, my friend, is where our path diverges. Today we will not succumb to that ancient self-defeating pattern. Today we step deliberately into a completely different space, a space of profound peace that precedes any external financial shift, a sacred inner sanctuary where your mind becomes calm enough, clear enough, undistorted enough to recognize the divine direction, the opportune pathways, and the wide open doors that the universe is meticulously placing before you. You do not need to intellectually comprehend every intricate detail right now. Your only imperative, your only crucial task is to stay. Stay anchored to these words. Stay until the very end, because every single word you are about to absorb has been meticulously arranged in a very specific, potent order. If you choose to disengage, to stop halfway, you risk missing the most important, the most transformative piece of this puzzle, leaving the grand solution perpetually just beyond your grasp. The benefits, the profound shifts that come from staying connected with this prayer, are not vague promises whispered in the wind, nor are they mere cliché phrases devoid of substance. No, these are very concrete, very real and immediately tangible transformations. A deep, abiding peace will begin to steadily replace the gnawing anxiety that has plagued your soul. Your mind, once clouded by frantic thoughts and desperate scenarios, will begin to clear, becoming a beacon of calm and clarity. And from this newfound clarity, remarkable things will begin to emerge. Ideas once elusive will surface with startling precision. Unexpected directions previously invisible will reveal themselves. Help from sources you could never have imagined will begin to appear, often with perfect timing. Gradually, almost imperceptibly at first, that suffocating financial pressure that once gripped your throat will begin to loosen its hold, losing its power over you, much as it did for countless individuals whose lives were utterly transformed by these very principles. These aren't just empty words. I've witnessed the profound impact on those who moved from despair to unprecedented breakthroughs, people whose initial skepticism gave way to undeniable life-altering results. Many people do not lose money because they genuinely lack opportunities. They lose money because their minds are utterly paralyzed by the incapacitating grip of fear. When fear is the master leading every thought and decision, people inevitably make the wrong choices, reacting out of panic rather than moving with purpose. But when that sacred peace returns, settling deep within your being, the right path, the clear path, the path to prosperity begins to reveal itself with undeniable clarity, just as it did for Sarah, a single mother in Hanoi, who after months of sleepless nights found not just the means to pay her children's tuition, but an innovative business idea that changed her family's fortunes entirely, all because she dared to quiet the fear and trust the unfolding peace. This prayer is not designed to lull you into unrealistic dreams or fantasies. Its profound purpose is to bring you back to your true, empowered position, a place where you can effortlessly receive divine wisdom, clear guidance, and timely, abundant provision. Perhaps right now, a whisper of doubt echoes in your mind, reminding you that you have prayed many times before, and yet nothing has truly changed. If that thought resonates with you, then listen with unparalleled focus, for what we are about to embark upon is fundamentally different from anything you are accustomed to. We do not merely utter a command for fear to disappear, hoping it will passively obey. We do not idly wait, passively expecting a miracle to spontaneously manifest from thin air. Instead, we actively prepare our minds, our hearts, and our unwavering faith. We sharpen our focus, honing our spiritual perception to recognize the precise moment when the miracle already set in motion begins its tangible, undeniable movement in our lives. This, my friend, is why you require a sanctuary, a designated space to which you can return daily, a sacred space where you are reminded with unwavering consistency that you are not battling these immense financial pressures alone. This isn't just about an individual prayer. It's about establishing an enduring connection, a consistent flow of empowering energy. And if deep within your heart you feel a profound sense of comfort, support, and recognition stirring from these very words, then I gently invite you not to simply click a button, but to symbolically commit. Join this community by subscribing to the Financial Miracle Prayers channel. This isn't a transactional exchange. It's a powerful affirmation of your commitment to yourself, a conscious decision to step into a faith-filled space that will unequivocally support you every single day, especially during the harshest, most challenging financial seasons. Let these prayers become your constant companion, your guiding light. Let each new day serve as a potent reminder that there is always hope, there is always a path, and there are always open doors. Embrace this invitation to become part of a family of kindred spirits, a community of unwavering faith, where pressing that subscribe button becomes a symbolic act of reclaiming your destiny. In the moments that immediately follow, we will begin to delve much, much deeper. We will meticulously uncover the profound reasons why so many earnest prayers seem to yield no clear, tangible results. We will illuminate the critical difference between pleading from a place of confusion and standing firm, unshaken, in the absolute certainty of divine promise. And step by deliberate step, you will begin to feel a profound change, not from the external circumstances first, but from deep within the core of your being. Do not rush this process. Do not under any circumstances leave. The most important, the most transformative moment has not yet arrived. Take a deep, deliberate breath. Allow your mind to settle, to quiet the external noise, and be utterly prepared, because the next part will lay the foundational truth that empowers you not only to pray effectively, but to precisely know how to receive financial provision with an unshakable faith and a deep, abiding peace. If you are truly ready, if your spirit yearns for this transformation, we will continue right now. Do not pray the wrong way. This, my friend, is the silent, insidious block that has been holding your finances captive. Stop for just 1 second and listen with absolute, unyielding focus. If you bypass this critical part, if you allow your attention to waver now, you risk continuing to pray for countless more years without ever truly comprehending why money, despite your earnest efforts, keeps getting blocked right at the very threshold of your life. This truth, while not easy to hear, is absolutely essential. It needs to be spoken with undeniable clarity. Many people, countless souls across the globe, pray fervently about money, yet they do so from an internal state, a mental and emotional posture that inadvertently causes the prayer itself to lose its inherent power. It is not, I assure you, because the divine does not hear. Rather, it is because their inner state, their subconscious posture, is transmitting a completely misaligned signal, a vibrational frequency that counteracts the very blessing they seek. Ask yourself honestly, with raw introspection, when you pray about money, what is the dominant force influencing you the most? Is it an unshakable faith, or is it the paralyzing fear that if the money does not arrive precisely when you need it, you will lose everything? If deep inside you are consumed by panic, if your prayers are uttered from a place of trembling urgency and overwhelming desperation, then you must grasp this truth immediately. Fear in its rawest form is never the true foundation for receiving sustainable provision. Never. Fear compels people to pray, like someone who is on the verge of being stripped of all they possess, like a drowning person desperately gasping for air. And in that fear-driven state, your mind fixates solely on loss, losing your home, losing your job, losing your reputation, losing your very ability to maintain control. When your mind becomes locked into those terrifying images, those catastrophic scenarios, you become utterly incapable of seeing clearly enough to recognize the open door, the precise opportunity that is literally manifesting right in front of you. This precisely is why so many honest, well-meaning individuals lament that they have prayed countless times, yet their financial situation remains stubbornly unchanged. Not because they lack faith in principle, but because they were never taught how to stand in the correct empowered position when engaging in prayer. They lacked the internal blueprint for alignment. Listen with every fiber of your being to this profound sentence. Praying in a state of panic does not open doors. It only amplifies the very fear you are trying to escape, turning your spiritual communication into a feedback loop of anxiety. And if you persist in praying in that old fear-driven way, you may quite unintentionally prolong the very situation you are so desperately trying to escape, keeping yourself trapped in the cycle of struggle. What we are doing here in this sacred space is completely unequivocally different. Right now, you are not permitted to allow fear to lead the conversation. You must reclaim your internal authority. For the next part is not for casual listening. It is for those who are truly ready to step into a decisive life-altering moment. Imagine this vividly. If today were the absolute last day, you had to turn your situation around, to rewrite the narrative of your financial struggle. If today were the singular day, when one right decision, one correct alignment, one decisive action could save you from months, even years, of relentless struggle, would you dare to continue praying from a place of fear? Or are you in this very instant willing to completely change your posture, both internally and externally? There is a colossal difference, an unbridgeable chasm, between begging and standing firm in an unshakable conviction. Begging originates from a profound sense of lack, an acknowledgement of powerlessness. Standing firm, however, arises from the unwavering awareness that a path exists. A solution is already in motion, even if you cannot yet perceive it with your physical eyes. Right now, the most perilous thing is not that you physically lack money. The most dangerous, most destructive force at play is allowing fear to completely cloud your ability to recognize, to discern, to see the answers manifesting around you. Fear makes you miss crucial signals, the subtle nudges that guide you toward abundance. Fear makes you afraid to act, to take the necessary steps, even when golden opportunities appear clearly before you. Fear in its most cunning form makes you close doors on yourself, shutting off potential pathways even before the real divinely appointed door has a chance to swing open. And that precisely is why this part of our journey is so decisive, so utterly critical. In the next few minutes, you will be asked to do something very few people are truly willing to do. You must stop praying like someone who is cornered desperate, and instead begin listening like someone who is being guided, prepared for a grand unveiling. It is not by mere coincidence that you were led to this moment. It is not an accident that these words are reaching your ears at the exact time when financial pressure feels most acute, perhaps at its absolute peak. There are pivotal moments in life when everything converges at once, not to crush your spirit, not to break you beyond repair, but to compel you, to force you to make a radical change in direction. This is a moment of divine intervention disguised as crisis. But if you fail to change direction in time, If you cling to the old patterns of thought and action, the pressure will not only persist, but will continue to intensify, tightening its grip until something irrevocably breaks. Be profoundly honest with yourself. Have you ever woken up with a cold wave of anxiety washing over you the very second you opened your eyes? Have you ever compulsively checked your phone, clinging to a desperate hope that a message, a call, or some unexpected money would miraculously appear, a lifeline in the digital void? If your answer is yes, then you understand intimately how insidious and dangerous this feeling truly is. It systematically drains your energy, siphons your hope, and erodes your spirit every single day, leaving you depleted and exhausted. And this right here is the unequivocal moment to stop that destructive cycle. You cannot enter the next more profound section of this prayer with a chaotic, fragmented mind, because what is about to be spoken is not intended to be merely comforting words. These are words that demand your absolute, undivided focus, words that carry the weight of transformation. If you miss this moment, you will continue praying, but the answer, the very solution you seek, will remain unheard, unseen, just beyond your grasp. Right now, take a deep, deliberate breath, not merely to relax, but to consciously interrupt the relentless spiral of panic, to sever the connection to the old fear-driven narrative. You are stepping into a sequence of prayers, a carefully crafted invocation that is not for the impatient, not for those who seek instant gratification without internal shift. It is reserved for those who profoundly understand that if the root of the problem does not change, the external result will never truly be different. And if you sense that these words are touching with chilling precision exactly what you fear most, then consider that your undeniable sign you need to stay. You are at the threshold of a breakthrough. This is also why countless individuals choose to remain connected long-term with financial miracle prayers, not because they are inherently weak, but because they profoundly understand that faith, true faith, must be nurtured continuously, consistently, especially during the harshest, most relentless financial seasons. No one truly can remain steady and clear-headed alone for very long in the face of such overwhelming pressure. In the next part, we will cease speaking in general terms, in vague platitudes. We will name with surgical precision the specific financial pressures that are currently clinging to you, suffocating your peace, draining your energy. We will name the bills, the deadlines, the exact numbers that are relentlessly keeping you awake at night. We do this not to amplify your fear, not to plunge you deeper into despair, but so that you no longer have to run from them in silent, isolated terror. For when the brilliant, unyielding light of truth shines directly upon fear, it invariably begins to lose its power, its illusion of control, dissipating like smoke. Do not leave. Do not, for any reason, allow your mind to drift elsewhere, to be lured by superficial distractions. A far more important, far more decisive moment is rapidly approaching. And if you commit to this process, you will begin to understand why so many people have testified that simply changing their posture in prayer, this profound internal shift, caused everything in their external reality to begin shifting, accelerating faster and more powerfully than they ever dared to imagine. Stay. The next part will begin to directly touch, to precisely target the very root of the financial pressure you are currently carrying. Name what is choking you for. If you fail to name it, to bring it into the light, it will not and cannot let go of its grip. Now, we will no longer speak vaguely, skirting around the edges of discomfort. We will not employ general euphemistic words like hardship or challenge. Instead, we will name with unflinching accuracy precisely what is choking you, what is stifling your breath, what is stealing your peace. Because what you do not dare to face, what you actively avoid, is precisely what is controlling you, exerting its silent dominion over your life. Listen with extreme care. If, in this very moment, words such as bills, debt, rent installments, credit cards, insurance payments, tuition, medical expenses, or the cost of daily survival are vividly appearing in your mind, then you are standing at the most necessary, the most crucial part of this entire prayer. This is the exact moment many people cannot bear. They choose to leave, to disengage, because it touches the raw nerve of their greatest, most deeply buried fear. But I implore you, if you choose to leave now, you will continue carrying that immense burden, that silent weight entirely alone, allowing it to continue dictating the terms of your existence. Ask yourself honestly, without any avoidance or self-deception, is there a specific amount of money coming due, a looming financial obligation that you honestly do not know how to cover? Is there a bill you are deliberately trying not to open, a sealed envelope of dread, because merely looking at it sends your heart into a frantic, fearful race? Is there a message, an email, a notification you have not dared to read, postponing the inevitable because you fear it is the final merciless reminder, the last desperate call to action? Many people out there in the bustling world still manage to smile, to engage in normal conversations, but deep inside, they are living in a never-ending, exhausting race against deadlines, against the relentless ticking clock of financial pressure. And the most cruel, the most insidious thing is not merely the numbers themselves. The most cruel, soul-crushing thing is the pervasive, suffocating feeling of losing control. The profound sense that no matter how tirelessly you try, no matter how hard you push, everything you hold dear is still slipping through your hands, dissolving into the void. If you are currently in that exact state, listen to this sentence clearly and unequivocally. You are not weak. You are not a failure. You have simply been under immense, prolonged pressure for far too long, enduring circumstances that would test the strongest of wills. But this is also something profoundly important. You must understand a truth that unlocks freedom. If you do not correctly name the burden, if you do not bring it into the light of your conscious awareness, it will continue to operate invisibly in the shadows, its power unchecked. Debt is strongest when you remain silent about it. Financial pressure is greatest when you pretend it does not exist, when you deny its very presence. And right now, we will no longer pretend. Allow yourself in this very moment to admit this quietly, internally. I am afraid. I am worried. I honestly do not know what will happen if things do not change soon. Just admit it. There is no need to explain, no need to justify, no need to rationalize. Because when you name fear, when you articulate its presence, you bring it directly into the light. And when light shines upon fear, it instantly begins to lose its destructive power, its intimidating grip, starting to dissolve. There is a truth, a rarely spoken secret, that very few people will tell you. Many profoundly wrong financial decisions do not originate from a lack of knowledge, from an intellectual deficit. They come overwhelmingly from panic. Panic compels people to borrow in haste, to make impulsive, ill-considered choices. Panic makes people sign contracts, agree to terms they do not fully understand, committing to obligations that will later haunt them. Panic causes people to miss the exits, the very escape routes that are clearly visible, incredibly close, but obscured by the fog of their anxiety. And this precisely is why you must pause, must anchor yourself at this part of our journey. Not to hurt you more, not to deepen your despair, but to decisively cut off that destructive chain reaction, to sever the link between fear and action. If you continue praying, if you proceed through this process, without first courageously facing the real, tangible pressure, your prayer will have nowhere substantial to land. It will be like trying to hit a target in the dark, without aiming. Imagine trying to open a complex lock, a lock that could free you from all your worries, while your hands are trembling uncontrollably with fear. You cannot turn the key properly, not because the key itself is wrong, not because the solution is faulty, but because your hands are not steady. Your internal state is out of alignment. This sacred pause, is the crucial moment to steady your hands, to anchor your being, to reclaim your composure. Right now, vividly picture it. Picture with absolute clarity the specific amount of money that worries you most, the number that looms largest in your mind. Picture the exact due date, the calendar marker that brings a pang of dread. Picture the distinct feeling in your chest, the tightness, the racing heart, every single time you think about it. Do not run away from this image. Do not push it aside. Do not dismiss it. Embrace it. For in just a few profound minutes, we will do something radically different, something transformative. We will no longer allow those numbers, those deadlines to speak to you, to dictate your mood, to control your inner narrative. Instead, we will begin speaking to them with a new voice, a voice of authority and unwavering certainty. But before that momentous shift can occur, you need to understand that this fear, this pervasive dread, is not your final enemy. It is in fact only a sign, a powerful signal that you have reached the absolute limit of your old way of operating, your old way of thinking, praying, and reacting. And when the old way no longer serves, when it has utterly exhausted its utility, that is precisely when another more powerful path opens up. Not tomorrow, not when you feel more stable or more prepared, but in this very moment, this exact second, a new door is revealing itself. There is one very important truth you must remember now. If you choose to skip this part, to bypass this crucial internal reckoning, the profound parts that follow will not carry enough weight, enough resonance, enough power to truly transform, because you cannot effectively release what you have not first dared to face, to acknowledge. This is also why many people, individuals just like you, report feeling lighter, an immediate sense of relief, simply by staying and listening up to this point. Not because the money miraculously arrived immediately, but because they no longer have to run from it, to flee from the truth in their own minds. And when you stop running, when you cease the internal chase, you instantly begin to hear guidance, to perceive the subtle directions that lead to your breakthrough. Right now, if you feel your heart rate slowing down, even just slightly, if a whisper of calm begins to settle within your chest, remember that this is the first undeniable sign that the suffocating chain of pressure is beginning to loosen its grip. But do not stop. Do not under any circumstances turn this off. Do not let your mind wander. For the next part, I assure you, will be an extremely important pivotal turning point, a true moment of no return. In the next part, we will perform a powerful alchemy. We will transform the very pressures you have just courageously named into activation points, into catalysts for change. We will no longer allow them to silently drain your energy, to siphon your life force. Instead, we will begin a deliberate, conscious process of changing your internal and external position in relation to them. And that, my friend, is when prayer ceases to be a desperate cry from a place of fear and transforms into a powerful declaration of certainty, an initiation of divine movement. Stay. The real climax, the profound shift has not yet arrived. This truly is the point of no return. If you cross this threshold with unwavering intention, everything in your life will begin to shift, to reorganize, to align with abundance. Right now, we have reached a very important boundary, a decisive line in the sand. This is no longer a moment to listen passively, to merely observe from a distance. This is the precise moment you must, with absolute conviction, decide whether you will continue to remain ensnared in the old cycle of financial struggle, fear, and stagnation. Or if you will step bravely into a new paradigm. Many, far too many people have reached this exact pivotal point and then tragically stopped. Not because they didn't desperately need change, not because their hearts didn't ache for a breakthrough, but because they were afraid to take just one more step. Because this next step, this crucial leap, requires you to shed the comfortable mantle of an observer. If you choose to continue, you become a participant, an active co-creator of your new reality. And that precisely is what makes this moment so profoundly dangerous, for fear, for doubt, for every limiting belief that has held you captive. Listen with intense focus. Up until this very instant, financial pressure has been speaking to you, dictating terms every single day. Numbers have held sway over your mood, deadlines have decided the quality of your sleep, bills, debts, and the pervasive fear of lack have dictated the tone of your inner voice, your subconscious narrative. And if nothing fundamentally changes at this core level, I assure you nothing will truly change in your external situation. This is where most people falter. They pray, yes, but they pray with the exact same voice, the same internal resonance they use when they are consumed by panic. They pray, but their words are still saturated with fear, urgency, and overwhelming desperation. They pray, but deep inside, they are still unknowingly asking for permission to merely survive. And survival language, by its very nature, does not unlock abundant provision. You need to understand this with crystal clarity. There is a monumental difference between speaking from a place of debilitating fear and speaking from a powerful, unshakable position of authority and divine alignment. Fear whispers, "Please, I hope, what if?" Authority, however, declares, "This stops now." And unless your internal voice undergoes this profound shift, the pressure will continue to dominate the conversation, to dictate the terms of your life. Right now, your financial situation is not merely a problem to be solved. It is at its core a power struggle. Pressure has been relentlessly commanding your attention, controlling your emotions, dictating when you panic and when you allow yourself to breathe. That ends here. But it only ends if you are willing to completely stop speaking like someone who is on the verge of losing everything, and instead begin speaking like someone who knows deep within their bones that they are divinely supported, never abandoned. This is not about arrogance. This is not about pretending everything is fine when it clearly isn't. This is about absolute alignment, because when your words are misaligned with faith, when they contradict your deepest knowing, they inadvertently cancel out the very thing you are asking for. Many people unknowingly sabotage their own prayers with their internal and external dialogue. They utter phrases like, "I don't know what I'll do if this doesn't work," or "Nothing ever changes for me, it's always the same," or "I'm running out of time, I'm constantly behind." And every single time they speak that way, they reinforce the authority of fear, giving it permission to continue its reign. From this moment forward, that self-defeating language must cease. Not later, not tomorrow, but now. Because what we are about to do next will not respond to a weak, uncertain voice. The prayer you are approaching is not a casual background prayer. It is not a comfort prayer designed to lull you into complacency. It is not a maybe someday prayer. It is a decisive turning point prayer, and turning points by their very nature require absolute clarity, not chaos. So before we move forward, you must internalize this unwavering rule. You cannot command breakthrough while simultaneously speaking like a victim's. Pressure understands hesitation. Fear feeds voraciously on uncertainty. But authority, true authority, disrupts entrenched systems. And right now, your life is operating under a system of lack that must be irrevocably disrupted. Think about this with raw honesty. When was the last time you spoke about your finances without a trace of fear in your voice, even in the private sanctuary of your own thoughts? If your inner dialogue is constantly repeating, "I can't keep up," "I'm falling behind," "I'm about to lose something significant," then pressure is still firmly in control. And pressure will never release its grip voluntarily. It only releases when decisively challenged, when its authority is systematically dismantled. That is precisely why this moment, this internal decision, matters so immensely. If you choose to skip this part, to bypass this internal reckoning, the powerful prayer that follows will feel potent, but it will not truly land. It will not fully anchor, because words spoken without genuine authority dissipate quickly, like smoke in the wind. Right now, you must make an unwavering decision. Are you willing to stop rehearsing loss, to cease projecting catastrophic outcomes, and instead start actively preparing for a divine intervention? Because the two, loss and intervention, cannot coexist within the same internal space. Fear trains your nervous system to perpetually expect collapse, to anticipate the worst. Faith, conversely, trains your spirit to expect divine movement, to anticipate breakthrough. And expectation, I assure you, determines perception. If your dominant expectation is collapse, you will inevitably miss the open doors, the subtle opportunities, the unseen pathways. If your unwavering expectation is abundant provision, you will instinctively recognize those doors the moment they appear, perceiving them with clarity and acting with conviction. This is why your voice, your internal posture, matters infinitely more than your volume. You do not need to shout your demands. You need to be anchored, profoundly rooted in certainty. Take a moment right now and consciously notice your breathing. If it is shallow, rushed, or tight, that is fear speaking through your very body, manifesting physiologically. Do not ignore that crucial signal. Instead, use it as powerful confirmation that you are exactly where the shift must and will happen. From this point forward, we will meticulously avoid language that reinforces scarcity. We will not speak as if money possesses ultimate absolute authority over your life, because it does not. Money is merely a resource, a tool, a means to an end. True provision, however, has a divine source, and when you attempt to speak, to declare, to pray from the wrong source, you inevitably disconnect yourself from the abundant supply. This is why so many people feel utterly exhausted after praying. They are inadvertently fighting with fear instead of decisively replacing it with unshakable faith. That ends now. In the next part, you will not ask, you will not plead, you will not explain your predicament, you will declare. But declarations, true declarations, only work when the speaker fundamentally believes they possess the inherent right to speak, to command. And that precisely is what we are establishing here in this sacred moment. If you are still listening, it means something profound, something powerful deep inside you is ready to shift, ready to awaken. Do not rush this moment. Do not multitask. Do not allow your attention to drift, to wander. Because what comes next will require your full, undivided presence. And this also is why staying connected matters beyond measure. Many people experience profound clarity in moments like this, a glimpses of divine possibility, and then tragically lose it the very next morning when external pressure relentlessly returns. That is precisely why people remain connected to financial miracle prayers. Not because they are inherently weak, but because consistency, sustained alignment, protects these nascent breakthroughs, allowing them to fully manifest. You are not meant to carry this burden alone. In the next part, we will directly confront the very forces that have been systematically draining you, not symbolically, not emotionally, but deliberately, powerfully. And when that happens, the pressure that has been speaking over you, dominating your narrative, will be unequivocally forced to listen instead. Stay here. Do not leave now. Your voice is about to change permanently. This is where pressure loses its hold, its suffocating grip. You no longer merely respond. You initiate. Stay with me, for from this point forward, the dynamic shifts completely irrevocably. Up until now, pressure has been reacting to you, triggering your fear, igniting your urgency, sowing seeds of doubt. It has been dictating your emotional rhythm, controlling the very tempo of your life. But pressure, I assure you, only wields power as long as you remain reactive, as long as you are trapped in its endless cycle of response. The very moment you cease to react, its grip immediately begins to weaken, to dissolve. This is not symbolic. This is profoundly practical, psychologically astute, spiritually potent, and directionally decisive. Right now, most people mistakenly believe their financial stress originates from a simple lack of money. That, my friend, is fundamentally untrue. It originates instead from a loss of position. When pressure positions itself above you, when it is allowed to dominate, it controls your entire environment, both internal and external. But when you reclaim your rightful position, your inherent authority, pressure becomes subject to your response, not the other way around. This is precisely why so many people feel utterly exhausted, drained even before anything externally changes. They are constantly responding to a barrage of emergencies, perpetually putting out fires, instead of proactively initiating direction, setting the course. Bills arrive and they react. Deadlines approach and they react. Fear rises and they react. Reaction, I tell you, keeps you trapped in a perpetual state of urgency. And urgency, by its very nature, blocks all clarity, all strategic thought, all divine insight. That destructive cycle must be broken decisively right now, because what we are preparing to do next will simply not work if your nervous system is still conditioned to panic, if it is still trapped in the old patterns of fear. This is the moment where you stop allowing circumstances to speak first. From this point on, you speak first, not emotionally, not impulsively, not out of fear, but deliberately, with unwavering intention and clear authority. This is the profound difference between someone being perpetually overwhelmed and someone being strategically positioned for divine intervention. Take this in carefully. When you constantly react, you inadvertently train your mind. You condition your subconscious to believe that solutions always arrive late, that you are perpetually behind the curve. When you initiate, however, you retrain your mind. You recondition your spirit to expect movement, to anticipate breakthrough. Expectation, I assure you, shapes attention. Attention shapes decision. Decision shapes outcome. This is why this moment is so critically important. If you rush through this part, if you bypass this crucial internal shift, you will miss the profound transformation that is poised to occur. Right now, your task is simple, yet intensely demanding. You must stop narrating your situation as if it is closing in on you, as if you are a trapped victim, and instead start recognizing that something profound is being reorganized specifically for you, all around you, in the unseen realm. Most people unfortunately miss this critical stage because it doesn't yet look dramatic from the outside. Nothing may have visibly changed externally. The numbers on your bills may still be the same. The deadlines may still loom ominously. But internally, deep within your being, something fundamental is being repositioned, reordered, realigned. And repositioning, I assure you, always happens before release, before the floodgates of abundance truly open. This is precisely why silence is so profoundly important here. Not silence as an act of avoidance, not a retreat into denial, but silence as a powerful declaration of authority, a quiet claiming of your true position. You are no longer arguing with fear. You are no longer negotiating with pressure. You are observing it from a higher place, a place of peace and unwavering certainty. Pressure senses this profound shift immediately, because pressure feeds voraciously on reaction. When reaction ceases, when you reclaim your internal equilibrium, pressure begins to destabilize its power source cutoff. This is the part where many people feel a deep discomfort, not because something is wrong, not because they are making a mistake, but because they are no longer familiar with the profound stillness that exists even while unresolved things remain. Stillness feels unsafe, even threatening, when you are accustomed to the frantic pace of panic. But stillness, I tell you, is precisely where control returns, where clarity reemerges. Right now, notice this carefully. If you feel a strange tension, a subtle hum, like something monumental, is about to move, but has not yet fully manifest, that is not anxiety. That, my friend, is the undeniable energy of transition, the stirring of a breakthrough. Most breakthroughs do not announce themselves loudly with grand fanfare and dramatic pronouncements. They begin as quiet internal recalibrations, subtle shifts in perception and posture. This is precisely why people who leave too early, who abandon the process prematurely, never truly witness the profound change. They retreat from the battlefield right before alignment completes, just before the victory is secured. Do not do that. This moment requires profound restraint, not external effort. You are not pushing, no, you are not forcing, you are positioning. And position, I tell you, determines authority. From this new elevated position, pressure can no longer speak to you in the same way. It will try, oh yes, it always does. Thoughts may arise, whispers of doubt, like, what if nothing happens? What if this is just another disappointment, another false hope? Those thoughts, I tell you, are not warnings from your intuition. They are resistance, the last gasps of a dying system. Resistance always appears, always intensifies, when control is being challenged, when its dominion is threatened. Do not engage it. Do not argue with it. Do not analyze it. Simply let it pass, like clouds drifting across the sky. Because the very moment you engage with resistance, the moment you give it your attention, you inadvertently step back into the old pattern of reaction, surrendering your power. Stay anchored. This is where discipline matters infinitely more than fleeting emotion. And this also is why consistency matters above all else. Many people experience profound moments like this, moments of clarity and power, and then tragically lose ground later because they return to old patterns, old habits of thought and action. That is why staying connected, remaining within this community, matters so deeply. This is why people remain with financial miracle prayers, not because they expect constant emotional highs, but because alignment, true alignment, requires reinforcement, continuous grounding. Especially when external pressure tries relentlessly to reassert itself. You are not weak for needing reminders. You are in this moment profoundly strategic. Something subtle yet immensely important is happening. Your internal hierarchy is changing dramatically. Fear is no longer on top. Urgency is no longer in charge. Reaction is no longer automatic. And when that profound internal shift occurs, a vast open space suddenly appears. Space for insight, space for perfect timing, space for clear, undeniable direction. This is where opportunities become visible, not because they suddenly appear out of nowhere, but because your perception is no longer distorted by fear. Your inner eye is finally clear. This is also why what comes next will feel entirely different, unlike anything you have experienced before. The next phase is not about calming you down. It is about issuing direction, about initiating command. And direction, true, potent direction, only works when the speaker is profoundly centered, when their internal authority is unshakable. You are almost there. Do not rush ahead. Do not disengage. Do not assume. You already understand, for wisdom unfolds in layers. Stay present. In the next part, we will begin to apply focused, intentional language that does not ask for permission, that does not explain itself. Language that initiates movement, that commands breakthrough. Language that pressure in all its forms cannot override. Stay here. What comes next requires the powerful position you have just reclaimed. This is the ignition point, the moment courage overrides fear, and the shift accelerates with breathtaking speed. Stay focused, remain anchored, because what happens here determines whether everything you have done so far holds firm, solidifying your breakthrough, or collapses under the renewed, desperate onslaught of pressure. Up to this point, you have, with immense courage, reclaimed your true position. You have stopped reacting to the external chaos. You have centered yourself, aligning with the core of your being. But position alone, while foundational, is not yet enough. There is one final insidious force that still attempts to sabotage everything at the very last moment: fear. Not surface-level fear, not obvious raging panic, but a deep, cunning, systemic fear. The kind that cleverly disguises itself as logic, as rational thought. The kind that whispers subtly, "Be realistic, don't expect too much, prepare for disappointment, it's safer." That, my friend, is the most dangerous kind of fear, because it sounds so reasonable, so prudent, so wise. And unless that particular brand of fear is confronted directly head-on, it will relentlessly erode your authority from the inside, undermining your breakthrough. This is precisely the point where many people lose momentum. They feel calmer, yes, they feel clearer, undoubtedly, but they hesitate to move forward internally, to take that decisive step. They stay in observation mode for too long, waiting for external confirmation. And fear, I tell you, waits patiently, cunningly, for that very moment of hesitation. Listen carefully now. Courage is not, has never been, the absence of fear. Courage is the unwavering decision to move forward with absolute clarity and intention, despite the presence of fear. And clarity without courage inevitably stalls, leaving you perpetually at the starting line. That is why this part, this profound activation, is so utterly essential. Right now, you must grasp something critically important. Fear does not simply disappear on its own, like mist in the morning sun. It must be overridden, not argued with, not comforted, not negotiated with, simply overridden with a firm, decisive act of will. Because fear's primary job, its deepest programming, is to protect you from imagined loss, from potential pain, even when that very protection costs you growth, costs you your breakthrough. Fear tells you to stay small, to remain within your comfort zone, because small feels familiar, predictable. Fear tells you not to expect too much, because disappointment, it warns, hurts deeply. But familiarity, I tell you, is not true safety, and smallness is not genuine protection. Fear has kept you surviving. Yes, it has ensured your basic existence, but it absolutely cannot carry you into abundant provision. That, my friend, is precisely where courage enters the stage powerfully. Courage is the internal signal, the powerful command that tells your entire system, I am ready. I am prepared to receive something larger, something grander, something beyond my current reality. Without that clear internal signal, systems do not reorganize, doors do not fully swing open. This is why nothing external truly changes until something internal becomes unshakable, unyielding. Right now, fear is testing you. It is subtly checking whether you will retreat, whether you will falter, now that the process feels truly serious, truly transformative. It may manifest as distraction, as a sudden surge of skepticism, or as the urge to stop listening to disengage entirely. Do not misinterpret that. That resistance, that internal friction, is not a sign to stop. It is powerful confirmation that you are crossing a profound threshold, that you are on the verge of a breakthrough. Fear always intensifies, always screams its loudest, right before it loses control, right before its dominion crumbles. This is the moment where courage must be activated deliberately, not emotionally, but with a conscious, unwavering decision. Courage does not scream. It does not rush. It does not need to prove itself to anyone. Courage simply stands. And standing, I tell you, sends an undeniable signal to the entire universe. Right now, you are not being asked to feel brave to conjure up an emotion. You are being asked to decide. Decide with every fiber of your being that fear no longer dictates your expectations, no longer holds sway over your possibilities. Decide that scarcity with its limiting narratives no longer frames your future, no longer defines what is possible for you. Decide that delay, no matter how long it has persisted, doesn't mean denial. This decision, though quiet, is immensely powerful, because once it is made, once it is cemented within your core, fear loses its leverage, its ability to manipulate and control. From this moment on, fear can still speak. It can whisper its doubts and anxieties, but it cannot command. And when fear loses its command, when its voice is muted, acceleration begins. This is where movement speeds up, not chaotically, but strategically, divinely. Opportunities do not rush in all at once, overwhelming you. Instead, they begin aligning like cosmic gears falling into place. Timing shifts with uncanny precision. Connections reposition themselves, bringing the right people, the right resources into your orbit. Solutions move closer, becoming clear and undeniable. But none of this happens if courage is not present, unwavering, to sustain the powerful posture you have now claimed. This is why people who experience sudden miraculous breakthroughs often say it felt utterly inevitable right before it happened. Not because the external situation suddenly looked good, but because fear had lost its voice, its power to dictate. Right now, check this honestly. If fear were suddenly and completely removed from your decision-making process, what would you expect to happen next? That answer, my friend, matters profoundly, because expectation is the very doorway through which provision enters your life. If your deepest expectation is collapse, then fear is still in control, subtly manipulating your reality. If your unwavering expectation is movement, breakthrough, and provision, then courage is active, leading the way. This does not mean you deny reality. It means you refuse to let fear interpret it for you, to distort your perception of what is truly possible. This is the internal line being crossed right now, irrevocably. And once crossed, you cannot go back to the same mental position, the same limiting mindset. You may still feel external pressure, but it will no longer dominate your inner world. You may still face deadlines, but they will no longer define you, no longer steal your peace. This is also why consistency matters more, far more than intensity. Many people feel a surge of courage for a fleeting moment, a burst of determination, then abandon it when nothing happens immediately, when the external reality doesn't instantly align. That, my friend, is not true courage. That is merely emotion, fleeting and unreliable. Courage is maintained consistently, deliberately. That is precisely why remaining connected to this source of empowerment matters so deeply. This is why people stay with financial miracle prayers, not because they are chasing fleeting emotional experiences, but because courage, true transformative courage, must be reinforced consistently until external reality finally catches up with internal alignment. You are not waiting for permission anymore. You are preparing for execution, for the tangible manifestation of your desires. And execution requires courage, because it inherently assumes a response, a divine movement. If you are still here, still listening, you are doing profoundly well. Do not rush forward. Do not anticipate the outcome. Do not try to imagine how it will happen. For that is fear, subtly trying to regain control, trying to drag you back into analysis, paralysis. Stay anchored, stay present. Because in the next part, something truly significant changes. We move from internal ignition to external mobilization. What has been forming internally will begin to call forth a tangible response from the universe. And that is precisely where resistance often intensifies, just before the floodgates of release burst open. Stay here. You have crossed the courage threshold. What comes next does not respond to fear. This is where the invisible responds. Mobilization begins, and resistance breaks,